Basically, all of us and that big mistake is being born. If we were not born, there would not be any problem at all. Asti Jayate Varnate. We exist, are born and grow. Once born, the aging process begins. We cannot say, I will not grow. We may say this with reference to spirituality. The fundamental problem is that we are born. So the fundamental solution is to not be born again. This is why spiritual seekers strive for moksha. Otherwise, Brajagovinda 8. Again and again, birth and again, death and again the mother's womb. And remember here, mother's womb does not necessarily mean only a human mother, because when the jiva goes through transmigration, he can enter the womb of any being. In this way, the cycle of life and death just goes on and on. This is why the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 8.16, Ma upete kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. Those who come to me, Arjuna, are not born again. Yajnatva amrutam asnute. Bhagavad Gita 8.16. And this earlier was also 8.16. Having known which truth, one attains immortality and death. Knowledge of the self is the only way. Thus, we must make an effort to not be reborn. No birth, no samsara. Such a beautiful idea, freedom. No punarjanma, no disgraceful aging, no graceless aging, no graceful aging, no problem at all. Complete freedom. This is what our Shastras lead us to, complete spiritual enlightenment. An elderly man went to his elderly friend. When he reached there, he found that his friend was not home, only the daughter-in-law. So he talked with her. During their conversation, he asked, how old are you? And because he was an old man, otherwise to ask a lady her age is rather difficult. She said, I am 25 years old. Your husband? She said, my husband is 15 years old. He asked, what? The old man became more cautious, curious. He asked, "How old is your mother-in-law?" She said, "Just one." What funny answers. He asked, "Are you saying these things because you are angry with your husband or in-laws?" She said, "No, no. We all have wonderful relationships amongst ourselves. There is no problem at all. We are very happy." He demanded to know, "Then what is this?" She said, "I will explain how it is so. Actually, my age is 35, but I said 25 because the first 10 years were wasted. I never lived consciously, nor did I ever remember the Lord. There was no spirituality in my life at all. Only after I was 10 years old, by some Mahatma's grace, I started living consciously and spiritually. So now I start counting my age only from that day, because that was when I can see I really started living." The rest of her answers were also clear now. My husband has been living consciously for 15 years. My father-in-law for 10 years. And my mother-in-law just started, but at least she started. Grace comes only when we start living a beautiful spiritual life. Otherwise, the days merely come and go. Conscious living in remembrance of the Lord is how we must make our lives meaningful, joyful, and a blessing to ourselves and others. This is called graceful aging. Second chapter, the stages of life, a lifelong process. Everything changes in time. It is a natural process, but human beings also have the ability to change consciously. Conscious changes for the better are not seen in a lifestyle of this graceful aging, which is merely living on impulses. In Bhaja Govindam 7, Adi Shankaracharya says about grace aging. During one's childhood, one is attached to toys and play, nothing more. In youth, one knows the play of youth, lost in his "I love you," and in old age, there is only chinta or worry. Man has hundreds of worries and hundreds of types of worry over wealth, health, neglect, loneliness, and much more. Alas, no one is interested in the highest truth, Brahman. Being attached to toys in childhood, to love play in youth, and to worries in old age is called graceless aging. It is said, "Jiryanti jiryatak keshaha." The hairs of the aging man become grey or white or fall down. Danta jiryanti jiryataha. The teeth start shaking and fall out. Chakshushrudre jiryate. The eyes are clear, clearing out. But the worst is Krishna Ika Tajumayate. Desire becomes younger and younger. The body is worn out, but man's desires for worldly pleasures remain ever young, ever strong, and ever growing. Typically, if you receive the wedding invitation of an 80, forget about 80. Even if he is a 60-year-old, in this is this the age to get married. There is no grace in grace aging here. Adi Shankaracharya continues, Angam Galitam Palitam Mundam Dasana Vihinam Jatam Kuntam Brajagovindam 15. The body is shaking, the hair is grey, and the mouth has become toothless. Vruddho yati gruhitva dandam. The old man is walking with a stick, and there is nothing wrong with these things, because in old age, this is what naturally happens. But the graceful part is Tadapi Namunchati Asha Pindam. He still doesn't give up his bundle of hopes and desires. Some elderly people continue to insist, I have to go to America. Why do you need to go at this age? Because there is Asha Pindam. And then there are people who take sannyas. But if they take sannyas only for the sake of healing, for the sake of food, then even that sannyas is graceless. It is important to remember that graceful aging does not suddenly come about in old age. It is a lifelong process. Consider the one who has always lived a licentious life and in old age wants to be graceful. Is it easily possible? Except some rare examples. You will hear about like Ajamil of people who truly turned their lives around. But this is not the norm. If no conscious effort is made early in life, although one may attend spiritual camps and graceful aging seminars, inner transformation does not come about easily. When yoga exercises are given and the instructor says, bend down and touch your toes, the old man already set in his ways says, if God wanted me to touch my toes, he would have given them on my knees. In old age, there is much less flexibility on many levels, so making major changes late in life is quite difficult. Thus, the art of graceful aging must start from childhood. If one remains attached only to toys as a child, only to physical sense pleasures as a youth, and only to worries as an elderly person, what is the use of such a life? Someone may say, a child is a child. He will be attached to toys. This is right, but alongside, there should also be a conscious movement towards a higher ideal. I composed a verse that illustrates how to live in each stage of life. In childhood, one should be attached to shiksha, education and learning. In youth, one should abide in diksha, vows, firm resolve to serve society with the knowledge gained. In old age, one should live on bhiksha, contentment with what comes in life by chance. Such a person alone can remain in learning. Shiksha means learning, it means discipline. Let children play, but give them shiksha as well. In youth, yes, there is a strong sense of physical attraction, but one can also be taught to have diksha in life. Diksha means a brata, a vow, and in this verse it means developing firm resolve, a higher vision from a young age. In old age, when one enters retirement, one must learn to be content with whatever comes to you in life. Diksha Vritta. After living such a life of calmness and acceptance, one can go forward and come to remain in Parabrahman, a disciplined childhood. Balastavat Kridasakha. Let children be attached to shiksha, to learning, to studies, to discipline. They may be attached to toys initially, but you can start a Balvihar class for them. Let them play, but also ensure you teach them to live cultured and disciplined life. One day I had an interesting dialogue with a 9-year-old girl. She came to ashram with her mother, along with 2 or 3 other children. I asked her, "Do you like to go to school?" She said no. I asked, "Do you like to play?" She said, "Yes, playing is fun. Why?" So I asked her, "Playing is fun and you enjoy it. Now suppose you do only that and do not go to school. Will this be alright?" She said no. So she had some understanding. Even though she said she likes to play and doesn't like to go to school, she knew that a life of play alone would not be right. At least she knew that education and learning are important. I said, "See, you think that play is fun, but learning is not fun. But learning is not fun. That's why you don't like learning, isn't it? But suppose learning becomes fun, a great sport and laugh, then," she said, "then of course there is no problem at all. I will like that also." So now what we have to do is make learning a joyous experience. Anybody who decides school, who would dislike school, seeing the whole system as it is presently. I am afraid of the rebirth only for this reason that I would have to go to school all over again. Our Param Poojya Guru, Swami Maharaj, went to a formal school and later told his father, "I mean that I have stopped learning." His education went on. Mark Twain said, "I have never let my schooling interfere with my education." This does not mean we should find faults with whatever formal education education that is given, but we should ensure that there is shiksha in it. It is the duty of the elders to see that children play as well as learn, so that when lessons are given, the children are shiksha sattah. This was Poojya Gurudev's main conceptual framework for Chinmaya Balihan, Chinmaya Mission's spiritual and value education program for children. Values for a firm resolve. Karunastavat Karuna Diksha Sattah. A youth, in youth, yes, there is a strong sense of physical attraction and longing, but that is just one aspect of youthfulness. Yes, yet one can be taught to have diksha in life. Diksha means amrita or vow. With proper learning, there will be a vow in life, a resolve from a young age. Because of this, there comes this coolness and higher aspirations in life. So shiksha, then diksha. Diksha for youth is vital. For it molds one's mindset and gives a vision in life. Sometimes students learn, get a degree, and yet they can't find a job. Often they choose only those careers that pay the highest salaries. They go in direction of money and market instead of aptitude and talent. Even the corporate world has the problem of finding qualified people and retaining them. Theirs is a competitive hire and fire business, and their employees always tend to go wherever the pay is higher. Now imagine how difficult it is for charitable or social organizations to get and retain qualified honorary workers. An intelligent, eccentric man placed a newspaper advertisement that read, all candidates seeking a job may apply, whatever degrees it may be, in whatever field. Jobs will be given. Naturally, many people applied. Interestingly, at the job interview, only one or two questions. The interviewer asked, "What is your education?" Replied, "I have an MA in economics." The man said, "Very good. Now, how much pay do you expect from this job?" The applicant said, "Rupees 10,000 monthly to start." The applicant said, "Great, I have never had such a simple interview. Thank you. Now tell me, what do I have to do?" The interviewer said, "You tell me what you can do." What do you mean? Asked the candidate. You have a master's degree in economics, right? So you tell me what plan you can suggest to improve the economy of the city, of this city. The candidate seemed confounded, so the interviewer repeated, what plan can you suggest to improve the economy of this city or district? The applicant said, thank you, but I don't want this job. It is hard to find people with vision. People merely want jobs. But what is the plan for the bigger picture? How can we help improve current situations and solve prevalent problems? This is Diksha means having vision. An economics student who has been given Diksha will naturally inquire on how the national or global economy can be strengthened. He may have simple beginnings, but he will build his plans to higher levels. The youth who has received Diksha is the one who will strive to achieve more. In sports, such persons are the rare Olympic gold medal winners. When India was under foreign rule, young men who were freedom fighters thought, we have to study more and learn more. They had vision. They studied law, went to England, and learned how India was being exploited. So, whether it is in politics, economics, sports, and arts, the science, spirituality, or any other field, great achievements have come through Diksha alone. The need to bring about the greater good for oneself and others is accomplished through Diksha. Where one is not content merely with what one has, but is striving for the higher welfare of all. Yes. Vruddhastavat Bhiksha Vritta. In old age, when one enters Vanaprastha ashram and moves towards retirement, there must be Bhiksha Vritta. The food you get by begging is Bhiksha. The idea here is not to beg for food, but to have total contentment with life as it comes to you. Yadruksha Labha Santushtha. Bhagavad Gita 4.22. In this stage of life, one should not crave or hanker for food, clothing, shelter, and so on. Everything should be accepted as it is without complaint. A bhikshu and a beggar are different. When a bhikshu begs for alms, he is not called a beggar, for he merely fulfills his basic needs at the minimum. With whatever comes to him, brahmacharis and sannyasis who go to different houses for bhiksha cannot say, give me lattu and peda because today is my birthday. Whatever is given, they accept. After you have achieved all you need to do in life, living as one who is Bhikshavritta means fully dedicating yourself to spirituality. The spiritual aspect may have been there before, but this is the time when spirituality alone is the goal. It is the time to be completely content with whatever life offers. The literal meaning of Vanaprastha is one who lives in the forest, but it is interpreted as living in a solitary place that is away from family, children, and so on. In the word Vanaprastha, stha means staying in the Vanam forest, which means staying away from home. Vanaprastha indicates a life that leans towards solitude. In modern day, staying in the Vanam means residing alone and independently, withdrawn from social activities. In the word Vanaprastha, pra indicates completely or totally. Phone calls and emails checking up on everyone, finding out how they are, or hearing the latest gossip. I am in Vanaprastha ashram. My son's flat is on the third floor and mine is on the fourth. This is not really a solitary place, but for many people, even this much is fine. In the Upanishads, a different meaning is given for the word Vanam. Towards the conclusion of Kena Upanishad, the mantra says, Tad Vanam Nama, Tad Vanamityupasitavyam. Here, Paramatma, the Supreme Self or Supreme Lord, is called Vanam. So, one meaning is forest, but the other meaning of Vanam is Paramatma, Brahma, and as such, it is Vananiya, Vajaniya, iti Vanam, that which is most adorable, supreme. Thus, the meaning of Vanaprastha is one who intends to abide in Brahman alone. Brahmachari, student, means Brahmani charati iti itham shilam. One who rebels or wants to rebel in Brahman, whose very nature is Brahman. Brahman means the Supreme Self, but the word also refers to the Vedas. So, in the beginning, the student must study and be devoted to the Vedas. But the Vedas should be studied only for knowing Brahman. Later, when one enters Vanaprastha, the sole attempt is to revel in Vananiyam Brahma, the self of all beings. Kena Upanishad says that one who does the upasana, worship of Brahman as Tad Vanam, Sarvani Bhutani Abhisamvanchanti, including trees and plants, birds and animals. Such a seeker is loved by all, for it cannot be possible that one is spiritually growing, yet no one wants to be in his or her company. A man went to a doctor and said, "Doctor, everybody ignores me." The doctor said, "Next." We may have experienced this feeling that everyone is ignoring me, but in true Vanaprastha, everyone should welcome my company because I love all. All is myself alone. Thus, we have to revel in Brahman. This is called graceful aging, the point of no return. Saeva Brahmani Sadanurantah. The Bhikshavrittah Vanaprastha revels in Brahman alone. This is basically the goal of and connecting thread between all the four ashramas Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. I read some simple statements. About these four ashramas. In Brahmacharya ashram, you learn. In Grihastha ashram, you earn. In Vanaprastha ashram, you turn. And from Sannyas ashram, there is no return. In Grihastha ashram, when we say earn, it does not mean only money. As a Grihastha, we can earn wealth for ourselves, society, and community. We can earn name, fame, power, and much more. But in Vanaprastha, we must also turn. Poojya Gurudev Swami Tejomayananda would say, take a U-turn. Turn towards that land of immortality, from whence you have come. Amar Bhadeshwa, Jahan se aayo. That Paramatma is the real source of your origins. That is where you have to go back. So turn now. Turn. Find that even river Ganga, which flows from Gomukha to the Bay of Bengal, after a short time, and returns to the this turning towards the source. If one revels in learning, one has a disciplined resolve and he is content with whatever he gets in life, then sa eva brahmani sadanaratah. Such a person alone ages gracefully and comes to revel in the Supreme Brahman. Om. 3. Shiksha. Passing the torch. All children as students must be given Shiksha. The first chapter of the Taittiriya Upanishad is called Shikshavani, which includes the last parting words that the teacher gives the students before they leave the Gurukul. Having completed their studies, these are the final specific instructions they receive from their teacher. Throughout their stay of 10 to 12 years, they would have learned various subjects and received many types of detailed instructions. But to live life, one needs guiding principles. So much is taught over the years. But what is the essence of all those teachings? What are the basic fundamental principles to be remembered forever? People buy books, for instance, the Bhagavad Gita, with commentary and then request, please autograph this. Some devotees would ask this of Poojya Gurudev, and while he was signing, they would say, please write a message for me. Now, the whole book is a message, isn't it? But they would think of it as an extensively large message. So they would ask for a short and personal message, meant just for them. Poojya Gurudev would spare no chance to get Vedantic teachings across. So he would sign, read this book 15 times. Or he would write, read 2 pages every day. Like a doctor's prescription. I found very few people who followed even these instructions, though they asked for a personal message or specific guidance. In newspaper or magazine interviews also, they usually ask this as the last question. What is your message for our readers? Or on the radio, they ask, what is your message for our listeners? Or on television, they say, what is your message for our viewers? In the same way, in this valedictory address, the Acharya teacher says, I have taught you many things, but I want to teach you some salient features of the teachings as a whole. And these you must keep in your mind, no matter what branch of specific knowledge you have studied. There are certain aspects that are common in all teachings. Vedam Sachayo Devasinam Shasti. Having taught all the Vedas, the Acharya gives his principles for students to remember and adhere to as they live and work. When Lord Ram wanted to give one last chance to Ravan, go as a messenger, Angad asked Bhagavan, I will go there, but please give me some guiding principle. Keeping it in mind, I will act accordingly and speak to Ravan. Bhagavan said to Angad, काज हमार तास हित होई. Our mission has to be accomplished, and yet no harm must come to Ravan. Remembering this, you may say or do all that need to be done. In this lies the welfare of our mission as well as Ravan. Keep this in mind and go. Similarly, the Upanishad Acharya states the common fundamental foundation of guidelines that all should follow regardless of profession, social status, gender, religion, and so on. May truth be told. Satyam vada. Speak the truth. In another mantra in the same Upanishad, it is again said, Satyana pramadithavyam. Don't be careless in speaking the truth. If someone asks you, can you do this job? Then speak the truth. There are some people who are wonderful, nothing to complete them. If you can't do something, or don't want to do, you should say so truthfully so that the other person doesn't depend on you. But if you make a promise, fulfill it. Satyam vada. If you are asked about someone, but you do not know anything about him or her, don't just give any opinion. It is not your business to qualify someone as a good or bad person. Clearly and definitely say, I don't know, don't guesstimate. But why should I speak truth? Let us say some people ask me my name. To one person I say Swami Ghanananda. To another I say Swami Ganananda. To the third I say Swami Nandanandananda. Now I will have to remember to which person I told which name. Imagine the confusion. The lies will surely be uncovered, and my bluff will be caught. By not living a life of truthfulness, I create problems for myself and suffer. By not speaking the truth, one slowly oneself. But the biggest loss is the loss of one's credibility. There is a famous story of a shepherd who needlessly cried out, "Tiger!" In another story, it is a wolf. When people would come to help him, he would laugh, "Look how I fooled you." One day, when the tiger really came, no one came to help when he cried out because he had already lost his credibility. When you speak one lie, 10 lies follow. Hold high the flag of Dharma. Dharmam chara. Live a life of Dharma or righteousness. Note that it is not said Dharmam vada, speak Dharma. One should not merely speak of ethics, morality and righteousness. One must live such a life. There are the 10 commandments in the Bible, the do's and don'ts. Sometimes people ask if there are any such commandments in Hinduism. Of course there are, as described in the following passages. Dharma is that which integrates our inner personality, our family, our community and our nation. Satya is very important in maintaining Dharma. In this Upanishad, Satyam Vada is all the more distinctly said in addition to Dharmam Chara. Speaking the truth is good, but whether it is beneficial does good hitam to the listener or sometimes there is no need of speaking, even the truth, when it may be hurtful or unnecessarily creating problems. If your satyam is in keeping with dharma, then stick to the truth. But sometimes, for the sake of dharma, you have to speak an untruth. Then know that this is also satyam. For example, if a villainous man with evil motives is chasing a woman and she comes to hide in your house, at that time If that man comes to you to ask if you saw where she went, you should not say, yes, come in. If you speak the truth in this case, it would not be in accordance with dharma, because dharma is that which protects, but they live and untruth. If you can protect her, then you should. By doing so, you will also protect the man, at least this time, from committing a sinful act. In Valmiki Ramayana, it is said that Ramachandraji was leaving Ayodhya in Sumantra's chariot. Everyone was crying and following him. At that time, Lord Ram told Sumantra, move fast. But King Dasharatha came out running and after them and said, Sumantra, stop. Now, what should Sumantra do? The king said, stop, and Ramachandraji, the prince, says, keep moving. Sumantra said to Ramji, but Maharaj is asking me to stop. Ramji said, but I am asking you to move. And if he questions you later, you tell him there was so much noise that you did not hear him. So, now was Bhagavan telling Asatyam? No. What Bhagavan said was right, because Dasharatha Maharaj was emotionally overwhelmed and therefore he was trying to prevent his son from living. In fact, if he had done so, it would not have been in keeping with dharma. And it was because of dharma that Ramachandraji had been asked to live in the first place. Once it was settled that he had to go to the forest, why should he delay and stay? If one gets carried away by emotions and sentiments, dharma will be lost, and this should not happen at any cost. Bhagavan Ramachandraji stood for dharma alone. His life was very difficult. Who can understand a life of such perfection? Even his opponents called Sri Ram the embodiment of dharma. I read a beautiful quotation. If you don't stand for something, you fall for everything. Lord Ram stood for dharma alone and was willing to sacrifice everything except dharma. Whatever one does to maintain dharma is called satyam. For example, while driving in India, you are told to keep in the left lane. You are a law-abiding citizen, so you follow rules. But suppose a truck is heading straight in your direction in the left lane. Now if you say, I am law-abiding citizen, and even if the truck is heading towards me, I will not go to the right side. And if you do so, people departure from this world. So, while keeping to the left is for everyone's safety, if following that rule puts your life into danger, in a particular instance, your first duty is to protect yourself. The letter of the law and the spirit of the law. The spirit is called Dharma. Alert living. Swadhyayama pramadava Let there be no inadvertence or negligence in Swadhyaya or self-study. In order to clearly know Satyam and Dharma, do your Swadhyaya or self-study of the scriptures. In his text Sadhana Panchakam, Adi Shankaracharya says, Vedo Nityamadhiyatam. Study the Vedas daily because these profound teachings are so subtle that we sometimes cannot clearly see what is Satyam, Dharma or Hitam. This is why each one of us must remain steadfast in our spiritual studies. Swadhyaya has numerous meanings. Doing japa or parayana or chanting Vishnu Sahasranama is called Swadhyaya. Studying 2 or 3 pages of spiritual texts every day is also called Swadhyaya. Most importantly, self-study is called Swadhyaya, meaning study yourself. Thus, this study should be done daily so that we are constantly reminded of these teachings and never lose sight of life's ultimate goal. Acharyaya priyam dhanamavutya. After learning from the teacher, it is the student's life duty to give dakshina. Earlier, no fees were collected. The students went to the Gurukula to stay there and study. Whether one was a Rajkumar or Brahmana Kumar, everyone studied together, and at the end they offered whatever dakshina they wished. Thus, the teacher instructs the students to be mindful and give what is dear priyam to the Guru when offering dakshina. For dakshina represents the student's heartfelt gratitude to the Guru. This means from whomsoever we learn something, whether karma, jnana or upasana vidya, always be grateful to that person. In this way, maintain respect for the Guru Shishya Parampara tradition. Prajatantum ma vyavachhetsi. Do not break your family lineage. Go home, get married, have children, and continue your Vansha Parampara in the Gurukul must be passed on. Of course, there are students who do not enter Grahastha ashram and straight away take to the spiritual path instead. For them, Prajatantum does not come in the form of a householder's life, but in the form of continuing the Guru Shishya tradition, so that whatever branch of knowledge has been learned is passed on in the Guru Shishya Parampara. Now, although the Acharya has positively given his instructions, he again emphasizes certain points, warning the students never to be negligent or take these teachings lightly. So, though he was said, Satyam vada dharmam chara, yet the Acharya emphasizes Satyana pramaditavyam, dharmana pramaditavyam. Never Never ever be negligent towards truth or dharma. Kushalana pramaditavnyam. Never be negligent towards your welfare. The expression take care of yourself is common. When someone is unwell, we say take care of yourself. To a traveler, we say be careful. Meaning, no one else will take care of you, and even if someone is willing to take care of you, you must first be willing to accept it. You may be unwell, and your assistant may give you your medications, but you must also be ready to take them. When you travel, your ticket, your bag, your clothes, your passport, your money, all that you need must be with you. Who else will take care of these? And then, of course, there are bigger things to be taken care of, like your income tax, feelings. Bhutya bhutyaina pramalitavyam. Here, bhuti means prosperity. Never be negligent towards prosperity. In whichever field or profession you are, there must be some material profit to sustain yourself and your family. Accordingly, you must continue to upgrade your knowledge in your field. This is called bhuti. When a doctor decides to specialize, thus the teaching here is that one should continue learning throughout life and be successful in whatever one does. Swadhyaya pravachanabhyam pramaditavyam. In self-study and giving discourses, spreading this knowledge, do not be negligent. Continue studying and share all that you learn. After you study courses in Chinmaya Mission, be sure to become a teacher and impart what you have learned. In this way, your knowledge will be brightened and this does not mean assume a big role as some great guru. Simply share your knowledge. There is a title called Jagat Guru or teacher of the whole world, as in Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru or salutations unto Lord Krishna, the teacher of the entire world. The great acharyas and rishis of the world are also known as Jagat Gurus. There was once a Swami who asked, why is everyone a Jagat Guru? I also want to be a Jagat Guru. So he gave himself the title. He was a very humorous Swami. Someone asked him who gave him that title, and he said, what is the need of anybody giving it? I have a disciple, his name is Jagat, and I am his Guru. I will show you. He called, Jagat, come here. The disciple came running. Yes, Swamiji, this was his meaning of Jagat Guru. in Jagat. So I cannot say I am the Guru of the world. But in Sanskrit, Jagat Guru Yasya Saha Jagat Guru, meaning the world is my Guru. Vishwam Guru Mama. Parents should be particularly aware of what their children are learning in their younger years. Often parents want their children to learn Sanskrit stotras, but they themselves don't want to study anything. So when the children end up knowing more than the parents, and when they keep asking questions to which their parents don't have answers, the children start losing respect for their parents. Because parents are role models for their children, their own continuing studies are an important part in proper nurturing of their children. Devapitrukāryābhyān pramaditāvyam. One must be steadfast in all duties related to the Devatas and Pitrus, deities and forefathers, without any inadvertence, forgetfulness and negligence. In Hindustan, there are rituals like Deva Yajna and Pitru Yajna. Here, the term Devatas refers to the presiding deities of the forces of nature. We must remain in tune with all of them, with due reverence, so that we maintain ecological balance and harmony. So we plant more trees and celebrate Earth Day. Yet we pollute the waters and exploit the earth. Yajna is not just swaha, swaha. When we perform havans, it is to value and respect these forces. So too, we must pass down noble culture. If one keeps disrespecting everyone, thinking his forefathers knew nothing, then according to the law of heredity, one inherits the same qualities. If his father knew nothing and his grandfather also knew nothing, then neither does he. Apparently, no one knows anything, unless he alone has suddenly fallen from the sky and veritably knows everything. As a world citizen, it is important to give due reverence to one's heritage and global environment. Matrudevo Bhava, treat your mother as God. Pitrudevo Bhava, treat your father as God. Acharya Devo Bhava, treat your teacher as God. Atithi Devo Bhava, treat your guest as God. An Atithi is a guest who arrives at your doorstep without an invitation or appointment. Atithi. These instructions of the Acharya are very important because so much of what he has already taught points to this same teaching of seeing God the self everywhere. We say God is invisible to us, for we are unable to know and see Him. But if we cannot first see God as directly present in the form of our mother, father, and guru, then how are we to recognize him elsewhere? As we as you sow, so you reap. When you begin by treating your mother, father, and guru, expand this vision to everyone. In this way, you also set an example for future generations. But if you don't have even the remotest idea of reverence for everyone, how can you get respect from anyone? I read a story where a family kept the grandfather in the outhouse. They gave him a bell so that whenever he needed them, he would ring it. They didn't want him to come into the main house. One day, the grandchild of the family took the bell. When the bell did not ring, even, of, even once throughout the whole day, the father began to wonder what had happened. So he went to check on the grandfather, from whom he learned that his son has taken away the bell. The father called his son. Why have you taken it away? And said, I have kept it safely for you. When you become old, I will give it to you. In Manusmriti, clear instructions are given, even by mistake. Never insult your mother or father, who have taken so many pains to bring you into this world and raise you. Do not insult them, even in dream. Such is the instruction. Here it is said that one must treat one's mother, father, guru, and guest as God. Remember that at some point you also may become a mother or father, and at some time you too may become someone's atithi, guest. Therefore, always protect dharma and do the right thing. For when dharma is protected, make you prosperous and even take you to liberation. Dharmo rakshati rakshita. Some people complain that nowadays no one follows values anyway. So why should I? Try, see if you can live such a life, but also be ready to pay the price when the time comes. It is interesting to note that values themselves have never lost their relevance in society. From time immemorial until today, everyone respects values. The only difference is that now most people respect these values in others, but don't strive to live these values themselves. They want and expect to see values and virtues in others. They may be corrupt themselves, but they respect loyalty in others. Even the criminal wants only that accountant who is reliable and loyal. ज्ञानवद्यानि कर्माणि तानि सेवितव्यानि नो इतराणि चरितानि तानि त्वयोपास्यानि no itarani. Follow only good conduct and perform only good actions. The Acharya acknowledges that we are humans, so we may act or think improperly, but we should be careful and alert enough to keep correcting ourselves. Many people think that they are above and are perfect and free from faults, but the Upanishads teacher does not say this. In fact, he even goes so far as to advise the students to follow only the blemish-free actions and thoughts of their acharyas and none others. In life, there are always different situations and circumstances. Often we are unable to determine our duties. Proper conduct or right response towards a particular person or in a given situation. Doubts keep rising in our minds. If we are confused or unable to find the right answer, then the instruction given by the Acharya is to approach a good, noble, wise person and follow the advice given. For such people do not have ulterior motives of any kind. Thus, whatever such noble persons do, say or advise, it should be followed. If you are able to find a solution by yourself, it is good. But if not, don't let your false pride get in the way of asking for help. There was a person who was driving and he got lost. He should have asked for directions, but no, he insisted on figuring it out himself. He kept going on and got reached a fork with one road going right and one going left. A happy-go-lucky person was sitting under a tree at this junction, whistling away. The lost man got down and asked, "Where does this road go? This road to the left go?" The reply was, "I don't know." "Where does the road to the right go?" The reply was, "I don't know." The man said, "What a fool you are." The happy-go-lucky person said, "Maybe so, but at least I am not lost." Therefore, if you have any doubt about duty or conduct, approach a noble, wise person and ask him. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is very clearly mentioned how Arjuna got confused in the battlefield, even as the Mahabharat war was about to commence. But at least he asked the Lord for help. Shadimam Tvam Prapannam Bhagavad Gita 2.70. 4. Diksha. Aspire to inspire. It is natural for a child to be attached to toys and games, but it is the duty of his parents and guardians to educate and discipline him, and to inculcate good values in him. This is giving grows up to become a young man. He may or may not get married, He may even become a sannyasi. Regardless, in his youth, it is the duty of his parents and guardians to give him Diksha. Diksha initiates one into a life of vratas or vows so that one develops firm resolve in facing life with strength, love, and righteousness. Everyone should have some great aspiration in life, not only one that relates to employment, but one that strives for excellence, significance, or service in any chosen field, secular or sacred. The world may be in whatever condition when one comes into it, but each person should try to ensure that he leaves it in a better condition than it was when he arrived. At the very least, he should not harm, destroy, or worsen it. A tenant decided to move from his rented flat to another place. Before leaving, he went to a pet store where many other kinds of little creatures were also sold. He said, "Please give me 4 lizards, 10 cockroaches, 35 mosquitoes." The shopkeeper frowned and asked, "Why this strange list?" The tenant said, "I am moving from my current flat. The landlady told me that I must leave it exactly as I found it. I need these creatures so I can give back to her exactly what she gave to me. To leave the world a better place than when we found it is a discipline or vratam in itself." There are beautiful and interesting Upanishadic mantras that teach us our vratas, particularly in Taittiriya Upanishad. Vows of love and service. Annam na nindya tad vratam. Do not criticize food. This is the vow. Even though the literal meaning for annam is food that we enjoy or experience through our sense organs. When it comes to food, its enjoyment begins with our nose, an aroma from the kitchen. Ah, something nice is being cooked. So first we smell it with the eyes. Food that is so creatively presented, so well cooked, just seeing it makes you happy. When you touch it, ah, this idli is like silk. It is so soft, so perfectly steamed. And when you rush to put it in the mouth, you experience its delicious taste. And finally, as we chew our food and hear the various sounds resulting from the different textures of different foods, some crunchy, some sticky, some so shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, all the 5 sense organs come into play and complete the picture. Annam thus refers to the entire world of these objects. Therefore, don't insult, condemn, or criticize any of them, for we all need them for sustenance. There are many people who criticize many things in the world, but think Have the objects done anything wrong? When a man gets angry, he breaks doors and windows. Do the doors and windows deserve such treatment? They have not done anything to him. A person is on the phone and her call isn't being answered or just not going through. She gets so angry that she bangs it on the table. But what is the use of breaking the instrument? Like all other objects in this world, it is also needed and used in life. Therefore, the first first we learn to treat the whole world with respect. Each object has its own value, its own place in life. All objects may not be equally important, but each object has some importance, some value. On the same note, do not give undue importance to any object, being, or situation. For example, some people say, I don't care for money. Don't say so, because money has its own value in life and teaches its own lessons. At the same time, don't think that money alone matters or money is God. This is another extreme. Never insult or criticize the world in the larger vision. The whole world is created by the Lord. If you insult the world, you are insulting the Lord. If your mother or wife has cooked your food and you throw it out, you are not only insulting the food, but also the one who made it. Therefore, annam nadindya. Scriptures teach us the importance of developing vairagya, learning which we must criticize our excessive attachments, not the objects. With food, objects, and the whole creation, every youth must learn and fulfill this role reverentially. Annam naparijakshita tadvratam. Do not waste food in the world every day. How much food is needlessly thrown away? In some places, people are dying of starvation, and in other places, they are dying because of overeating. And in yet another places, food is simply being after eating from a plate. They pour water into the plate and drink it so that not a single morsel of food is wasted. Many countries speak highly of their progress, yet in such matters they continue to create grave imbalances by wasting and throwing away all surpluses. For example, the buffet food service. The idea is to let people take as much as they want so that there will be no wastage. But this is far from what happens. You should see how people fill their plates at buffet, as though they had never seen food before in their lives, and as though they are never going to eat again. They take everything, even in air travel. Sometimes the quantity is too much. and I feel terrible to waste it. But at the same time, I know so whenever and wherever possible, we should only take as much as we need. Similarly, so many things continue to be wasted. Disposable items that don't disintegrate create so many problems. Where can so much garbage be thrown? In the past, after the eldest child in the family got a toy, the second and third child would play with the same toy. And now each child has so many toys. What will they do with all of them? In earlier days, the same cloth bag was used for years to buy groceries from the market, and it was washed regularly to use plastic bag. Now they are again advocating use of the cloth bag. We are finally coming to understand that by small changes, large problems can be created. And once we get used to easy comforts, if you have to go back to basics, it becomes very difficult. Annam na parichakshita tadvratam. Thus, the implications of this seemingly simple instruction are far-reaching. Annam bahupurvita tadvratam. Grow more food. There should not be any scarcity. There should be plenty. Today, agricultural lands are being converted into non-agricultural lands for construction. Cultivable land is disappearing. Where will we cultivate if this goes on? Due to mass industrialization, nothing, not even man, is in harmony with nature anymore. In olden days, they would say that the best occupation was agriculture, but now the best job is information technology. Although the fundamental need is food, you can't live without food. Without computers, you can more comfortably and more happily. For that matter, food is the first necessity. Countries that continue to grow their own food and enrich their food sources will naturally have more power in the world. If you reflect deeply on all these mantras together, Annam na ninjat, Annam na parichakshita, Annam bahupurvita, your life will gain a totally different vision, and that is fuller and more holistic. Some people say that Hinduism is a kind of escapism or otherworldly kind of philosophy, but these people have not read the Upanishads. The scriptures do not say one should not have materials for prosperity. During India's golden age, under the reign of the Maurya dynasty, there was immeasurable prosperity all around, in all fields, but today prosperity comes at an incredibly high cost. Pollution with air and water contamination. It is not only materially that man is greatly affected, even his spiritual and cultural worlds are affected. In all these aspects, man must become more prosperous. This is what the Upanishad says. Annam Bhurvita. And even if we limit the meaning of Annam to be just food, then understand the instruction to be grow more food. न किञ्चन वसतौ प्रत्याचक्षीत तद्व्रतं न काञ्चन वसतौ प्रत्याचक्षीत तद्व्रतं. When anyone comes to your house, do not turn him away. For it is said, Atithi Devo Bhava. All that you have is meant for service, serving the world. Therefore, take a vow that may I never insult Annam by mistake or throwing it away. May I grow more Annam and become prosperous. But what is the purpose of this? Remember, it is not merely for individual enjoyment. Tasmadaya kaya chavidaya bhuvannam prapnuyat. Therefore, always have plenty of everything in your home. These instructions are not for a sannyasi, but mainly for a householder or youth who will soon become householder. To offer anyone who comes to your home. When a guest visits your home, for whatever short or long a time, give him a place to stay, give him food. Don't send him to a restaurant. In fact, what will you have? Annam nitya chakshate. The Upanishads instruct that you should say, Sir, food is ready. Do not ask what will you have, because what if he asks for something that you don't have? What if he says he wants a cup of tea and no one in the house drinks tea? It will be embarrassing for both of you. This is a very practical matter. So the best thing is to just give what you have and strive to ensure that you always have plenty, not only for your own bhoga enjoyment, but also for serving others as much as possible. Etadvai mukhatonnagam radham. You will receive food and all other things in life depending on the manner. If you offer with love, respect and honor, then you will receive in the same manner. If you offer ordinarily, you will, without honor or insult, then also you will receive it in the same manner. And if you offer insultingly or disrespectfully, then you will also get all things in the same manner. In this world, we see that some people do get things, but always with insults. Why? There must be a reason, for there cannot be an effect without a cause. Meanwhile, whether they want it or not, some always get the royal treatment everywhere they go. There are many examples in history where guests were welcomed and served with love and respect, even if the hosts did not have enough for themselves, and as a result of their observance of such vratas, they always earn great blessings. These types of vratas are not meant for a student brahmachari in training because his main jobs are to study and do Guru Seva. As for Vanaprasthas and Sannyasis, their roles are also different. All these vratas are thus applicable to Grahastha ashram, and if householders follow them, their lives will be enhanced with gracefulness. An altered life. Diksha is a must in the life of a youngster because directing and guiding him, whatever be his chosen field, when someone devotes his life to music, not only will music gain not only will music grant him fame, but his accomplishments will also lift the art of music to a higher level. Each depends on the other. So it is hard to tell whether the art has made the artist great or the artist has made the art greater. There are countless dangers in living a life without Diksha and Vrata. I remember seeing a poster in a youngster's room. Don't drink and drive, smoke and fly. Unfortunately, many really do smoke their lives away completely or start drinking away from their 16th or 18th birthday. Graduating medical students are asked to take an oath that they will use their knowledge for seva, but often because they have to repay their large students' loan to the bank in the beginning, they focus off. In this, a vicious cycle of exploitation begins. The patient visits the doctor who says, I have to take this much money from you. The patient says, okay, one day when you come as my customer, I will get it back from you. Society is like this. One of the highest teachings in Diksha is dedicating to God everything that one does, in whatever field, by offering everything of body, mind, and speech to the Lord as worship. One grows stronger in one's vrata. There are many talented and accomplished people who do not have an altar of dedication in their life. Their altar is solely their own pleasure. But how much joy and fulfillment can this give? I read a beautiful line. An altar in life alters your life. The greater formation, dedication to an altar to the Lord, your parents, your teachers, or society at large leads to great inspiration and transformation. When the altar of dedication is a lower ideal, it reflects in one's growth. in the lives of history's extraordinary men. We see that whenever they found their altar of dedication, their life became distinguished. Before this, it was an ordinary life. Though good, it was nothing special. They gained all that greatness, grace, and beauty only when their dedication became firmly rooted. The altar of dedication does make a difference, for that is the key in Diksha. Lord Krishna has said in the Gita, Yat karoshi yadashnasi, yat jihosi tadasi. Whatever you do, enjoy, sacrifice, give it to the Lord. Even when you give a few coins to a roadside beggar, do not think that you are giving them to a beggar. Think that you are giving them to the Lord. Living such a life, you will age gracefully. There is a famous story of King Akbar, Tansen, and Tansen's teacher Sri Haridas Maharaj. Akbar asked Tansen, "You sing well, but your teacher's singing is very different. It is divine. Why is it so different?" Tansen replied, "Because he sings for God and I sing for you. Perform your vrata as worship of the God. Sokarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim vindati manava." Bhagavad Gita 18.646. In the Gita, Bhagavan says, man can attain perfection simply by worshipping the Lord through his karmas. It is not a whatever karma you are capable of, whichever is enjoined to you, whichever is your duty, do it as your worship for the Lord. This is the greatest blessing in Graceful Ashram. From here, one slowly proceeds into Vanaprastha Ashram. Om. Chapter 5th, the Vairagya of Vanaprastha. Embrace sadhana. When we read the instructions given for Vanaprastha Ashram, we may get frightened because the two most important practices in Vanaprastha Ashram are tapas and iksha. Tapas means austerity, penance. Iksha means atma darshanam, or seeing the self. In the summertime, the Vanaprastha is told to do Panchagni tapas, for which all the Maharajas of yore would have their kingdoms and retire to the forest. You must read Raja Prithu's story in Srimad Bhagavatam. He went to perform Panchagni tapas. He sat in open grounds from sunrise to sunset, with fire burning on all four sides of him, and the sun was the fifth fire above him. In the rainy season, he sat there still, his bare body under the lashing rain. In the winter, he stood in the icy river with water up to his throat. Isn't it frightening? We can barely stand in lukewarm water of the shower, much less put one toe into icy waters. A man went to a hotel and found that his bathroom did not have any facility for hot water. He complained to the hotel clerk that he had been assured that hot water and cold water would be available. The hotel clerk said, "Yes, sir, hot water in the summer and cold water in the winter. Don't worry, all." In Tulasi Ramayana, Bhagavan Ramchandraji describes 9 kinds of devotion to Shabari. You must read this portion. Therein, the 6th kind of devotion perfectly fits Vanaprastha ashram. The Lord says, Chatadamashila virati bharutarma nirata nirantara sajjana dharma. Ramcharitmanas 3.35.2. The Chata or 6th kind of devotion is to consistently practice more and more sense control. Virati Bahu Karma means withdrawing from excessive worldly activities, and Nirata Nirantara Sajjana Dharma means engaging only in that sadhana which saintly people follow. To become a saint, you must follow Sanatana Dharma. When one is in student life, 100% of his time should be devoted to learning and to the service of the Guru. According to Gurukul tradition, one must study first. Then, as he enters a life of greater activity, he will have to allocate 75% of his time to all his duties, familial, professional and social. With so many duties, personal sadhana can only be a small amount of japa and puja, neither of which can last for hours on end. As a householder, one has to grow unknown. So naturally, one has to work hard, which leaves little time for personal puja, japa and meditation. Only about 25%. But whatever one does, all that can be done with the bhavana of worship of God. This makes life 100% spiritual throughout. In Vanaprastha ashram, sadhana should take up 75% of one's time. Grihasthas always complain, "I never get time to do any kind of sadhana. The telephone starts ringing whenever I sit for meditation." As a Vanaprastha, you cannot complain in this manner, because now your time should be primarily spent in sadhana. Keep off your time 25% to meet people when necessary, to help others should they need it, or to advise your children if they ask for it. Nothing more than that. Stop calling your children every day to ask. Live their lives and as they like, and don't feel insulted if your son buys a sofa set without consulting you. Don't go anywhere needlessly. If there is a satsang being conducted, then go there. If there is a puja, somewhere, then too you may go. But don't say yes to every invitation for every social event. Some elderly people are so fond of going to all kinds of parties. In old age, countless people spend endless time and countless money to look younger through makeup, facelifts, and plastic surgery. But remember, in old age, you may be able to trick some people into thinking you are younger than your real age. But you cannot trick a flight of stairs. Learn to withdraw from such activities so you can live a more productive life. Earlier, you complained about never having enough time for puja and observing silence. So now, when the time is right, be wise and engage in worship alone. Thus, you will be graceful in your growth. Long for God. Tulsidas ji writes that in old age one should feel sad that his life has passed by without knowing God. He asks when will he have love for God and dispassion for the world. He asks when the Lord Ramchandraji's grace. He will get that by Lord Ramchandraji's grace. He will get a saintly mind. An interesting point is that such a mind comes only by God's grace. Therefore, invoke God's grace through sincere prayer. Not only does Tulsidas ji pray for a saintly nature, Sant Swabhav, but he also specifies that it should be without any craving, filled with contentment, no matter what comes. Jatha labh santosha sadaiva. Sadai. Ramcharitmanas 7.45.2. Any resolute in thought, word, and deed, he asks for a life that is always engaged in serving others. Pura hita nirantara. Parahita nirantara. Parahita nirantara. He says, even if I hear harsh or hurtful words, let me not burn in that fire. Let my mind be calm. He prays to be free from abhiman or ego, to be free from gossip about virtues and vices of others, to give up all worries originating from body identification, knowing that all sorrows steal one's equanimity. He prays Tulsidas Prabhu, यही पथ जाहि अविचल भगति लहरुंडो. Vinay Patrika Pada 172. Remaining steady on this path, when will I get swerving devotion, unswerving devotion? As Vanaprasthas, when we are firmly rooted in the conviction that we must get established in Brahman, we will rightly and determinedly live a life that harbors all proper means to achieve this goal. A life that is adorned with with such a goal, naturally ages gracefully. Accordingly, right from the beginning, we must concern ourselves with how to get such a mind in life at the right time. The bliss of sannyas. Blessed indeed. Graceful aging doesn't happen in a few days, weeks, or months. It is a long process, but if followed, its rewards are great indeed. In childhood, there is shiksha with sanskar yukta anushasanam, learning discipline with values. In youth and adulthood, there is diksha with vichar yukta acharanam, living with right thinking. And in old age, there is vairagya yukta shastra adhyanam, living with dispassion and spiritual study. Then we come to life's most beautiful stage, its culmination, sannyas, renouncing the world and reveling in the self. Since early life focuses on studies and adult life on fulfilling various responsibilities, people feel they have less time to Vanaprastha ashram. 75% of one's time is to be devoted to sadhana and 25% to worldly interactions. But in sannyasa, 100% of one's time should be only for Paramatma Smaranam. In Kaupin Panchakam, Adi Shankaracharya says about sannyas. Vedantavakyeshu sadaramantav Dikshangamatreena chatushtimantaha Vishokavantah karunaikavantah Kaupinavantah kalubhagyavantaha, ever reveling in the teachings of Vedanta and ever content with a beggar's morsel. Full of compassion, they roam about free from sorrow. Blessed indeed are these sannyasis, though they wear only a loincloth. Adi Shankara says that the most fortunate and blessed Bhagyavantaha are indeed those who have fulfilled their life and thus they are able to live contentedly, yet as little as a loincloth to cover themselves. In this picture, Adi Shankara is not referring to an ordinary person who is poor, homeless, or a tribalist living in forests. Kaupinavantaha refers to sannyasis or renunciates. In modern day, you have seen pictures of men and women wearing something similar to a kaupin or loincloth. In their cases, it is a sign of passion, but with the sannyasis, it is a sign of total dispassion. Indeed, such sannyasis are the most fortunate, for their cloth represents their fulfillment of and contentment with life in its entirety. Therefore, as far as worldly life is concerned, the sannyasis needs are basic, and with whatever little he gets, food, shelter, clothing, and so on, he is satisfied. Nothing more is needed. Generally, many people, especially the younger generation, pity sannyasis. On one hand, they admire and prostrate to Swamis, but within they feel, ah, poor thing, गरीब बेचारा, इतनी जल्दी संन्यास ले लिया. Their courage and ask, Swamiji, do you have any regrets about taking sannyas? When I was in the ninth standard in school, there was a sannyasi from Haryana. He was a tall, bright, brilliant monk. Even now, I can clearly visualize him. As I went to school, I would see him on his morning walk, and I would think, what kind of a life he must be having. It must be so boring. He doesn't go to movies, restaurants, and so he can't have any fun. This is what I used to think. Imagine such a little fellow pitying a sannyasi, but now I know what sannyas is. Kopinavantah api. Even though he has completely renounced worldly life and has no possessions whatsoever, he is most fortunate Bhagyavantah. This is why people call a Swami Maharaj. But which kind of sannyasi is called a Maharaj? Only Vedanta Vakyeshu Sadaramantaha. The one who ever revels in the Upanishadic declarations. With each mantra he is transported into its meaning and depth. For us, the least we can do is learn the mantras that sing of the song of self-realization. At least we will be ready with the right. We realize earlier I thought myself to be this little body, but now I know otherwise. I am the support of this whole universe. I am the illuminator. I am everything and I am beyond everything. This is the joy described in the Upanishads. To know it, you have to experience it. When people observe a self-realized master, they do not understand him. It is something like you are listening to music with earphones, but the other person cannot hear any sound. You are reveling, but the other person is just watching, for you are experiencing something he does not know. Compassion embodied, the word Vishokavantaha, which describes the spiritual master, is interesting and important. Truly, he is totally free from grief. He has no sorrows at all, yet he is exceedingly compassionate to others' sorrows. Someone who has taken the garb of a sannyasi but still remains unhappy all the time can only advise others saying, don't take sannyas, Baba, look at me. Such a miserable person has not understood even a particle of the joy of sannyas. For, in fact, sannyasa is the sannyasi has understood that the whole world is an appearance and that Brahman alone is Satyam. When he sees suffering, he knows that it is simply due to one's own wrong thinking and wrong notions. But while addressing people who are suffering, the main of wisdom, Jnanis, do not say, your sorrow is mithya and illusion. No, they are compassionate and they advise each person at his own level in order to help him come out of that state and lift his attention to the higher. At the time of sannyas diksha, initiation ceremony into sannyas, the Guru gives a sannyas mantra. The initiated sannyasi revels in that mantra or any form, Saguna Rupa of the Lord. He chants Om Namah Shivaya or another mantra and meditates on the Lord in his heart. Whether reveling in Saguna or Nirguna, formless, he is the highest state. Adi Shankaracharya says, such spiritual masters roam in this world with like the spring season. Just as spring makes the flowers blossom, so do such sannyasis bring about this and sanctify the inner blossoming of all spiritual seekers. Kaupenavanta Kulubhagyavantara. Such sannyasis are indeed blessed. The gift of fearlessness, the culmination of all sadhana and gracefulness, is in Bhakti Yukta Paramatma Ramanam, or reveling in Paramatma with devotion. And what will such a person who revels in Paramatma has to this world? We can only give what we have. He has bliss, so he gives bliss. He has knowledge, so he gives knowledge. Indeed, the greatest gift that a true sannyasi bestows on all those around him is Abhayadan, or the gift of fearlessness. If I own something and see that someone that man, but if that man says, why are you afraid? I do not want anything. I know all that is mine is safe and secure from him, since he has no desires, not for things, people, or even his own body. He has no worry about their fulfillment, no desire, no fear. Since he has no desire, no one need fear him. Once when Lord Narayan was in meditation, Indra got worried because through the Lord's sankalpas can be understood here as mere fanciful thinking. Different words kept appearing there. Indra was attached to his reign and his abode, so wanting to protect these, he sent Kamadeva and his apsaras to try to turn away the Lord's attention. But when they went before the Lord, Bhagavan laughed and an apsara came out of him. The Lord said, the sannyasi becomes fearless through self-knowledge, and thus abhayam pratishtham vindati. He gives fearlessness by imparting self-knowledge, which is the knowledge of oneness, of one's true nature. There can be otherness. If you are that one truth, which is one and the only one, non-dual, that is you alone exist. What and whom to fear? That is, you alone exist. What and whom to fear? Striving for this state of being is called graceful aging, not mere aging. Song of the Enlightenment. The sannyasi or enlightened person of whom Adi Shankara speaks is also called the Bhikshu. Bhikshu Gita or the Song of the Bhikshu is found in Srimad Bhagavatam. In this scripture, there is a dialogue between Lord Krishna and Uddhava. Uddhava says, "My Lord, you always advise that we must practice equipoise of mind, whether there is honor or dishonor, praise or censure. But Bhagavan, sometimes when people speak, flowers issue from their mouths. At other times, only arrows fly, and such words pierce the heart. Physical wounds heal, but the wounds of such sharp words do not. And when such words are spoken by near and dear ones, it is so much more difficult to bear. If someone told me, Swamiji, a man in Timbuktu was criticizing you, would I care? I don't know where Timbuktu is, much less who that man is. So his remarks mean nothing to me. But if someone cautions me, do you know what your disciple was saying? Immediately I want to hear more. Everyone has so-called near and dear ones. We get lot of joy from them, but also maximum sorrow, one way or the other. I once read a quotation in the newspaper. In politics, your enemy cannot harm you, but your friends will kill you. So how does one keep the mind calm, cool and collected? There is a story in the Puranas. In Ujjain, there was a rich Brahmana. Generally, Brahmanas are not rich, but this one was. He was very miserly, neither spending money on himself nor on anyone else. Chamdi jaye, par damdi na jaye. You can take his skin, but not his money. He was also highly temperamental and arrogant. Anyone and everyone who had to deal with him, including his family, was very unhappy with him. Once, some people wanting to build a community swimming pool approached him for a donation. He gave them a bucket of water. That was his contribution. Because he had money, no one spoke against him in public. Then one day a stock market crashed and he lost everything. Thereafter, no one cared for him. No one asked about him. Everyone ignored him totally. Pained through these hard times, he sadly went away from his town to a nearby solitary place. Surprisingly, perhaps because of his punya karmas done in an earlier life, or solely by God's grace, an extreme transformation took place in him. Suddenly he began thinking about the kind of life he had been living. When a person starts thinking in the right direction and makes self-realization his goal, in due time he becomes an enlightened. And to this Brahmana, he became a bhikshu. Like such transformation, there are always surprises in life. This is one thing I have learned from direct experience. And even though I have prepared myself for all surprises, pleasant and unpleasant, where the surprise will come from is always a surprise. One day the bhikshu entered his old town again. Seeing him with a danda and kamandal in his hands, some who did not know him started making fun of him. Many who knew him said, "आ गए बड़े सन्यासी बन के." "Oh, you have come back as a great monk," and taunted him. They called him a hoax and said, "We know what kind of person you really are." They abused him verbally, took away his danda and kamandal, gave him blows with sticks when he sat for his japa, and spat on him. Someone even urinated on him, but he was totally quiet, absolutely unperturbed. He had reached that state of being. In fact, he sang a song for them, in which he said, "Let us see who wins." Although the whole world, he joyously sang his song. Know that peace of mind is the most precious wealth. We do not part with, sell, or easily give away even ordinary objects that we believe are precious, or those for which we have sentimental value. Not even in tough financial times do we easily consider selling what is precious to us. So the enlightened man says, "My peace is my greatest wealth." You are trying to buy it by spitting at me or by scolding me. But you will have to work a little harder, for it will not go away just like that. Conquer the mind. There are many shlokas in Bhikshu Gita, the song of the enlightened one. But basically, there is one main shloka, and the others are just a commentary on it. Dvija uvacha Yam janame supadukha heturnadevatatma grahakarmakala manah param karanamaranti samsara chakram parivartayedyat. Srimad Bhagavad 11. The Brahman said, people, deities, the body, planets, actions, or time, none of joy and sorrow. The mind alone is said to be the cause of samsara. The enlightened one says, people are not the cause of this joy or sorrow, neither the God nor are deities like Indra, Varuna, Kubera, nor the 33 crores of Devata. The word Atma means self, but it is also used to refer to the physical body. The wise man knows that his physical body can give him neither joy nor sorrow. The planets and their constitutions, nothing can give him joy or sorrow, not even people, though they will try. Someone may try to annoy me, but whether I get annoyed or not depends on me alone. For example, a husband remains calm and quiet while his wife goes on talking. At last she says, "At least get angry," but he does not, for he thinks to himself, "You have already said everything. What else is left to say?" Just as people try to change us, we also try to change them, thinking that our joy will come from getting what we want, seeing what we want, hearing what we want. Some people are so lazy that you cannot make them do anything. Try. Sometimes children play school. One child pretended to be a teacher. Even in this game, one lazy boy said, "Let us play holiday instead. School is closed. What can you do?" When we want to change people so that they become and act as we like, sometimes we do it under the righteous shield of a Samaj Sevak. But in this world, we have to learn and accept that there are some people who refuse to be happy, just as there are some who refuse to be sorrowful. In such cases, what can you or devatas do? When the body is suffering, it can be very painful. अच्छे अच्छे को रुला देती है. Even the tough are unable to bear it. But being happy or unhappy because of it is a different matter altogether. Someone may have cancer. So many Mahatmas also went through similar physical diseases. Yet they thought, it is there, so what? Because of earlier karmas, some situations may arise. People, devatas, planets, and even your physical body are capable of creating situations that can make you happy or unhappy. But that is possible only if you choose to be influenced by them. If you choose to become happy or unhappy because of them, it is always solely one's own choice. Different phases come in our life. We all have bad times also. So who creates all the joys and sorrows? All the Mahatmas and scriptures say, Manah Param Mamanandi. It is all only a play of the mind. It is all only a play of the mind. Samsara chakram parivartayedyat. It is because of the mind moves. The mind gives value to certain things and beings, and according to these personal valuations, we choose to become happy or unhappy. We overreact over the smallest things. If you get invited from a grand wedding, you consider it prestigious. If you do not, if we are not invited, we throw a tantrum like a 3-year-old. In fact, we could instead consider it fortunate that we got saved from the trouble of buying gifts and new outfits. Thus, the wise say, we must conquer our own mind. Conquer the mind means purify the mind. The best way to purify the mind is to have constant remembrance of the Lord and or of the goal of self-realization, and to absorb the mind in that alone. When this happens, the mind becomes Paramatma Swarupa. Lord Krishna says, when the mind keeps brooding over sense objects and pleasures, it gets attached to them. But when the same mind meditates on me, it becomes one with me. Therefore, the Bhikshu refuses to get bothered or angry by what people do or don't do. His only goal is to cross over the ocean of samsara by being devoted to the lotus feet of the Lord. That's all. For when the mind is absorbed in Paramatma, the devotee knows that whatever is to happen will happen anyway. So he lets anyone say what they mean. He simply sings his song of self-realization. This is Bhikshu Gita. A life fulfilled. A devotee named Jaswanta lived in Maharashtra. Later, he came to be famously known as Jani Jaswanta. It is said that some relatives and ministers were jealous of him, so they made false allegations against him to the king. Without making proper inquiries, the king ordered that he should be thrown into a well. Jaswanta was Bhakta, devotee of Lord Rama. Even in the well, he continued singing Bhagavan Ramchandraji's name. Bhagavan rescued him and saw to it that no harm came to him. The king realized his mistake and fell at Jaswant's feet. And this is why Jaswanta wrote the song Koi Bando, Koi Bando, in which he says, as Bhagavan lifted Mount Meru by becoming tortoise Kurma during the churning of the Milky Ocean, so too he has saved me now. Thus, a graceful aging is going through various stages of life while growing in love for the Lord and remaining focused on the final goal of self-realization. One who lives with sanskar yukta Anushasanam in Brahmacharya ashram, Vichar yukta acharanam in Grihastha ashram, and Vairagya yukta adhyayanam in Vanaprastha ashram, and Bhakti yukta Paramatma armanam in Sannyasa ashram is assured a fulfilling life that is complete with the ultimate peace and freedom of oneness. Om.